Will Colton Herta join F1? If there is one driver that could make a huge refreshment on the F1 grid, that is Colton Herta. The USA driver is currently driving in the IndyCar 500 series, and he is part of McLaren's academy. However, one team is looking to snatch him out of McLaren's hands, and that would work perfectly for the Woking-based team, since they have no plans of introducing new drivers to the grid anytime soon, with the signing of Piastri. Nevertheless, it won't be as easy as anybody thinks, because there are some exemptions and rule-bending processes that the FIA needs to do in order to make this deal work. Want to find out more? Stick around until the end of this video. Colton Herta is looking to make his entrance in F1, more precisely in AlphaTauri. According to recent reports, everything seems to be done between both sides, but now the problem is that Colton doesn't currently have a super license in his pocket that would secure him an F1 seat. He is looking to replace Pierre Gasly, who is the main reason why AlphaTauri has been so good in 2020 and 2021, and finish P7 and P6 in a Constructors' Championship respectively. Nevertheless, it seems like the team is willing to let go of Gasly because him driving for a French team like Alpine would be a dream come true, according to Helmut Marko. Pierre Gasly's tenure in Red Bull is far from achievable now, given the fact that the team has continued to deal with Perez until 2024 and hasn't been willing to give him the spot in the team, even when he was performing very decently in 2020 and 2021. Gasly had his chance in 2019 when he drove 13 races in Red Bull, but hasn't been able to shine, which is why he was replaced by Albon. Now that his seat in AlphaTauri isn't something that he will be willing to hold on to if the chance from Alpine comes, it would be more than fascinating to see Colton Herta join the team. Before we explain why Herta's arrival in F1 would have to see the FIA bending its own rules, let's talk about what his arrival in the sport would mean to F1 overall. The popularity of F1 in the USA has increased a lot, mostly thanks to Netflix's documentary Drive to Survive. In this documentary, we were able to obtain information about F1 drivers, their personal lives, situation revolving around F1 teams, etc. Now, the USA has implemented 2 more tenures on its soil. This year, we've seen the implementation and racing in Miami, while from 2023 and beyond, we'll go racing in Vegas in the city circuit. Also, we must not forget Austin and Texas, more precisely the Circuit of America. That event itself brings a lot of fans to the sport, and that would only mean that the team that is to sign Colton Herta will receive a lot of US-based fans. But the last thing they'd want is another Latifi, meaning that Herta would bring nothing more than the money and popularity from the USA, given the fact that USA companies would be more than willing to support an F1 driver from the States. Still, nothing yet has been made official, and although Marko said that there are some conditions that need to be met, it's more than likely that both sides have reached an agreement, and that it's all up to the FIA to grant Colton Herta with a super license that he desperately needs to drive in F1. Colton Herta currently has 32 points on his super license, which are obtained from gathering together all his top 3 finishes in IndyCar. In 2022, his best potential finish is P8, which would be far away from his other finishes in IndyCar, and he wouldn't be able to count this one in the mix. In 2019, Herta earned 4 points for finishing 7th. In 2020, he earned 20 points by finishing 3rd place, and for finishing 5th place in 2021, he earned 8 points. Therefore, he has a total of 32 points. With 2 rounds to go in the 2022 series, he currently lies 10th, with 8 being his best realistic result. Therefore, it won't count as one of his best 3. However, there is one more way that Herta can obtain points for his super license, which is to be present on free practice sessions and not log any penalty points and manage to drive more than 100 kilometers. That way, he can earn 1 point per free session. But the problem is that even if AlphaTauri can manage to organize this whole thing together, Herta will only have 6 races available to do this. His IndyCar season ends on the same weekend with Monza, meaning that he'll have just 6 races remaining and obtain 6 more points, so he'll still be 2 points short of the 40 points needed to obtain his super license. There is one rule that Herta is looking to capitalize on, and that is a clause of the ISC notes that a super license could still go to a driver who misses out on the other qualifications. That is the case if the driver in question scored a minimum of 30 super license points, but judged at the sole determination of the FIA as unable to qualify under any of A to C above, while participating in one or more of the championships listed in Supplement 1 due to circumstances outside of their control or reasons of force majeure. Force majeure can be especially useful if Herta was to apply for a super license and to try himself to secure a seat in F1, with AlphaTauri being the team that would be more than happy to offer him one. This would potentially open up the 4-season range of results that he can call on to, including 2018 to 2021. During the 2018 Indy Lights Championship, Herta finished second, which is worth 12 points on his super license. However, the number of entrances doesn't meet the FIA's criteria, and with just 8 races there, Herta wouldn't be able to count on these points. But this is something that could be fixed, or more precisely, to be circumvented, because Herta isn't to blame that the championship itself doesn't have enough number of entrances. There could be a potential problem between F1 teams and their academies if this deal goes through, because the main breeding grounds for F1 talent, which are the F3 and F2 championships, would be jeopardized if Herta joins F1. According to one F1 insider that is close to this matter, F1 teams and executives would seriously reconsider investing in F3 and F2 if this deal goes through, because, according to this insider, it would make no sense to do so. Red Bull's chief of young drivers, Helmut Marko, has been impressed with Colton Herta and with his development as a driver, and he said that all of the parties have struck a deal, and now it's up to the FIA to grant him the super license. Astonishingly enough, all of the parties and teams involved, we found an agreement. First, we have to get a definite answer from the FIA, and I think it should be by Monza. Monza, I would say. If the deal works, then it happens at Monza. Also for Pierre, said Marko, when he was talking about the Gasly's future and about Herta's future in AlphaTauri. Marko also spoke about why he believes that Herta's granting of super license should just be a walk in the park kind of decision for the FIA, adding, "We looked at the regulations, we discussed it with the FIA. Because of COVID, there's a special regulation that you can take 3 years from 4, and also if one result isn't maximum points and outside the driver's hands, they can give the points. So it's nothing unreasonable. He won 7 IndyCar races, and that's comparable to a Grand Prix, so it would be a shame if he wouldn't get a super license," finished Marko. What do you think will happen next in this matter? Do you think that Herta's entrance in F1 is guaranteed simply because he is a driver that comes from the States? Or do you think that the FIA won't circumvent its own rules and ruin its integrity by granting Herta a super license? Let us know in the comments below.